Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's American dream is apparently officially over.
This is getting real now. Prince Harry telling friends he wants to move back to the UK part-time. No, thank you.
So he's saying that Harry is looking to go back to the United Kingdom on a regular basis, but Meghan is not keen to spend more time away from the US.
We knew things weren't going well, but to finally have even more confirmation of how badly things are going, even more confirmation of how badly Harry wants back in, just goes to show and prove that Harry and Meghan leaving was a massive mistake, probably led by Meghan, that Harry really didn't consider.
For 6 years, Harry told us he left because the institution was toxic, unbearable, a trap he had to escape for his own survival. And we all watched him go. The dramatic exit, the Oprah interview, the Netflix documentary, the book, the whole production. Now sources are confirming he is desperately trying to get back in on bended knee. No cameras, no conditions, no argument.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's American dream is apparently officially over. Yes, oh yes, the couple are seemingly wanting to come back to the royal family on bended knee and reforge ties in the UK as their deals with Netflix, Spotify, and a variety of other companies dry up, as Hollywood has discovered one simple thing. Having a royal title does not make you particularly talented sometimes, especially in the case of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
And the palace? The palace is apparently rolling out the carpet. Someone explain to me how that is not a complete contradiction of everything this man has said and done since 2020. Because here's what I want to talk about today. Not the surface story, not the Harry's broke and Hollywood rejected him version, though that part is very real and we will get into it. What I want to talk about is the angle nobody is running, the thing that reframes this entire situation, because when you zoom out and look at what is actually happening here, you stop seeing a man crawling home. You start seeing a man being used. And those are two very different stories, right? So let's lay out the mainstream version first. Because to be fair to it, a lot of it is true. Harry and Meghan recently brought the children to the UK and visited King Charles at Highgrove. Sources say it was the first time the children had a proper chance to meet their grandfather on British soil.
This again lets me know, and this is what I posited before, that Harry being the one who bended the knee in this particular situation. Yes, Charles gave probably Harry more leeway than he should have, but Harry also bended the knee. And I think that reflects that, again, Harry desperately needs this. The king wants it for personal reasons. Harry needs it even more for like business and life reasons. As a friend of his says,
the conditions for the meeting were reportedly strict. No cameras in the room, no press briefings, no Instagram posts about anything. Harry, we're told, agreed to all of it immediately, in a heartbeat, according to one source close to the prince. No pushback, done. And now friends of Harry are briefing UK papers that this is just the beginning. The word being floated openly in the mainstream press is reverse Megxit. England is where Harry's heart has always been, sources say. America is cooling on them. They feel unwelcome. A holiday home in Portugal is apparently being described as a staging post back to Britain. And there's talk of Harry wanting to attend the Invictus Games in Birmingham in September, potentially with the children, and then a bigger public appearance with all four of them at Invictus 2027.
So he's saying that Harry is looking to go back to the United Kingdom on a regular basis, but Meghan is not keen to spend more time away from the US. This is where we're starting to see it officially in the news. We speculated before about Meghan would never go back. We see it.
That's the official version. That's what's being briefed. And you know exactly what every channel is doing with that. They're running the same script. Harry's broke. Hollywood didn't want him. The deal's dried up. Now he's coming home. Story over, except it isn't. Here's the thing. Everyone keeps missing. Harry didn't decide to come home. The door was opened for him. Quietly on someone else's terms, at the exact moment he had nothing left to negotiate with. And those are two completely different things. One is a man making a choice. The other is a man accepting the only option left on the table.
All has been forgiven from King Charles's side. So I'm letting you know that. And that's why we've seen the beautiful pictures from Althorpe, but what's coming is the king has forgiven and he is extending. He's going to extend an invite later this summer for Harry with his wife and their 2 children to spend a couple of days in Balmoral when the King's up there.
And I think it's worth being honest about which one this actually is. So let's talk about the money, because you cannot understand this story without understanding the financial situation. And I mean really understanding it, not just the deal's dried up, but what that actually looks like on the ground. The Netflix deal, the $100 million centerpiece of their whole American dream, is done.
We knew things weren't going well, but to finally have even more confirmation of how badly things are going, even more confirmation of how badly Harry wants back in, just goes to show and prove that Harry and Meghan leaving was a massive mistake, probably led by Meghan, that Harry really didn't consider. And as they get to Hollywood, they're finding out that, well, maybe the industry is interested in you for a couple of moments here and there. But then the industry figured out something. That yes, somebody has a royal title, and yes, that's cool. And yes, maybe you can sell some things on that, but a royal title does not mean Harry and Meghan are producers. It doesn't mean they're authors. It doesn't mean they're actors. It doesn't mean anything.
With Love Meghan, the lifestyle show she reportedly staked her brand on, ranked somewhere around 4,700 out of roughly 8,000 titles on the platform in the first half of 2026. I'm not making that up. For a show with royal connections, major platform backing, and an entire PR machine behind it, that number is not disappointing. It's catastrophic.
And again, I have the Netflix numbers. I want to do a whole video on it, but let me double check right now, guys. So the highest second outing of Meghan shows. So that means that in the first half of 2026, her highest ranked show, we're looking at specifically With Love Meghan, 4,700 out of 8,000. So she's well down to half. And let me see, what were the actual 300,000 views it said? I mean, that's pathetic. Her show should be endlessly watched because it's evergreen, but it sucked and nobody wanted to watch it.
The Spotify deal is gone. Better up. The coaching company Harry attached himself to has gone completely quiet. And as ever, Meghan's lifestyle brand is apparently shifting rosé at over $40 a bottle. And by the time you add shipping, 3 bottles cost you north of $125. Who is buying that at those numbers in this economy? The answer apparently is not enough people to matter. Sources describe her as feeling like she's pushing fresh thoughts and projects, but finding it not easy.
A feeling that the American dream might not be all it's cracked up to be. Here's the truth. The American dream is 100% real, but Harry and Meghan aren't. They're contrived, they're artificial. To be honest about Harry and Meghan, they did live the dream. They got oodles of cash, but they did it the wrong way. They did it off trading family secrets rather than producing good content. And when you trade off family secrets, don't be surprised that people find that to be crass and undignified and unlikable and filled with hypocrisy, not to mention all the lying, all the publicity seeking. Like, they have just done everything wrong in the public's eyes.
The entertainment industry had evaluated the Sussex offering and passed. Not quietly, publicly, in the ratings, in the contract renewals, in the silence from Ted Sarandos. That's not a negotiating position. That's a white flag. And here's the pattern callback, because we have seen this before. Every single time Harry and Meghan need something badly, every time the leverage disappears, they become suddenly cooperative, suddenly humble. The conditions at Highgrove, no cameras, no briefings, no Instagram. He signed up in a heartbeat. No argument, no counteroffer, no attempt to get something back in return. We're supposed to believe that's personal growth. Call me cynical, but I think it's just a man who knew he was in no position to negotiate.
You know, Harry and Meghan both feel that America is kind of cooling on them and that it's difficult. And they want to be liked in the UK now. And that's where they're focusing, you know, a kind of a charm offensive. And I think, and bizarre as it was, as you said, there's a kind of sense of whiplash with that Joe Marler podcast. But I think this is Harry wanting to be liked. And he's trying to be appealing again to ordinary people who have, you know, not enjoyed being called racists and not enjoyed the things he said about his family.
And now, here's the part nobody's running. The part that I think changes how you read this entire situation. Sources close to the palace, and this is being reported by people with genuine access to the institution, are describing a shift inside the walls. A change in the internal dynamics around the Harry question. The people who for years were quietly, firmly, institutionally opposed to any kind of Sussex rehabilitation. That resistance, we're told, is getting softer. Not because minds have been changed by argument, but because the people holding that line are no longer in the same positions they were. Insiders are describing a growing influence inside the palace from those who want some form of reunion. The doves, if you want to call them that. And the hawks, the ones who said no for years, are apparently stepping back. I'm not going to make more of that than the reporting supports.
But as it turns out, at the end of the day, the couple learned that maybe escaping wasn't the best thing. The freedom flight, maybe it was a flight into disaster, and Harry only has himself and definitely his wife to blame because Meghan Markle sold Harry a dream. And as he's figuring out, maybe that dream was really a nightmare, and maybe that dream was really about fulfilling Meghan's needs, wants, and desires, and not theirs as a family. And as some people are saying, maybe the veil is finally being lifted.
But here's what I will say. This shift in internal palace dynamics is not an accident. It didn't happen randomly. It happened at the exact same moment that Harry became financially vulnerable, that his court cases failed, and that Charles's health, reportedly, is not improving. All of that landed in the same window. And the result is that the people inside the institution who wanted this door closed are no longer the ones who get to decide. That matters, because it means Harry isn't winning. Harry is being welcomed in by people who want him there for reasons that have very little to do with Harry. And that brings me to Charles, because this is the part that, if you ask me, is the real engine under all of this. Charles has cancer. That has been reported. And think about what that means for a man who has spent most of his adult life defined by the breakdown of his first marriage, by the Diana years, by the public fallout, by decades of being the villain in someone else's love story. He finally gets to be king. He finally has the crown. And now, limited time.
Harry wrote an entire book embarrassing his family. He had an entire Netflix series also that embarrassed his family. I don't think William will be quick to forgive or have any interest in reconciling. He may be interested, let's say, in one day forgiving Harry just for his own mental health, but I don't think there's any route for Harry at this point to have a strong relationship with his brother. I think his brother is over it, to be honest. And I don't fault William. I don't fault him at all. Harry did some horrible, terrible, nasty, no good, very bad things. And he can't take them back. And that's the thing. He may realize now that all of it was terrible and he shouldn't have done it, but it's too late. It's too late. You pressed the nuclear option. The missile was sent. You can't take it back.
What does he want his chapter to look like? A king who reunited his broken family, a father who forgave his son, a grandfather who got to sit in the gardens at Highgrove and watch his grandchildren play for the first time on British soil. That's a legacy. That's a photograph. That's the image that goes on the commemorative stamp. Harry is being cast in his father's story, whether he realises it or not. And look, I'll Steelman this because you deserve the other side. Maybe Charles is simply a father, a sick man who wants to see his grandchildren before it's too late. That's real, that's human. I'm not dismissing it. If that were the whole story, I'd say fine. Let the man have his family moments in private. But it isn't the whole story, because alongside all of this warmth and reconciliation, we have Harry continuing to lobby for Ravec protection. The royal security arrangement that would, according to reporting, essentially wipe around $3 million off their annual private security costs and allow them to travel anywhere in the world under British government protection.
I think there are two things going on, P. Dinah. So, yes, the first is the unhappiness within the marriage. Anyone who has been a regular viewer of this channel knows that he is miserable, right? Like the veil has fallen from his eyes. Sure, he believes in keeping the family together, but certainly he doesn't enjoy spending time with Meghan Markle. He's not a happy man at the moment. And of course, Lady Colin Campbell reporting this week that that's why he is finding some solace in a local female friend. So you've got that going on. While at the same time, P. Dinah, I think, and I'm sorry to come back to it and hark back to it, but I genuinely believe all of this is driven by money. That is the only reason he wants to come back.
The Home Office, we're told, is not impressed. Sources described as being from the government say they are further angered by Harry's continued pressure campaign, including the leaking of a private security report to the media, apparently in an attempt to force the government's hand. That's not a man who has laid down his weapons. That's a man running two tracks simultaneously. Family warmth on one side, security lobbying on the other. And what does he do if he gets the security? He can travel in and out of the UK as much as he wants. He wipes millions off his annual expenditure. He gets the half-in, half-out arrangement the late Queen explicitly said could not happen. Suddenly, the whole reverse Megxit starts to look less like an emotional homecoming and more like a financial strategy. Right, and then there's Meghan, because she's the part of this equation that doesn't fit the neat narrative. We're being told, on one hand, that she's fully behind the reconnection, on board, supportive, ready to rekindle ties with the English side, which is interesting because, on the other hand, other sources, less sympathetic ones, are saying she has no desire to go back, that she wants to build her own independent brand in America, that she went to Highgrove and kept her word on the conditions because not going would have cost her more, not because she wanted to be there.
See, this is the thing. I've talked about this a lot, guys. If Hollywood was totally Harry's idea, or if they had actually made the decision as a couple together, he would be like, yeah, let's keep going. I'm done with my family in working status. We can have a good working relationship with them. They could have exited in a dignified manner, I think, because other royals have done it. It's totally possible. You don't have to be a working royal for the rest of your life. If you're lower on the line of succession, you don't have to do that. But Harry made this decision based on the stresses and the pressure that Meghan was putting on him. I'm going to take my own life, Prince Harry, and that of your unborn child. Oh my gosh, Harry, I'm going to end up just like your mother. Oh my gosh, I'm going to cry in the corner and pass out in your arms because things are so bad. She twisted him up so much to get her way. And what was always going to happen, because this is always what happens with people in this scenario, is that at some point they're like, wait, this sucks. Did we do this because we had to? Do I really want this? Do we want to keep like this?
And this is where it gets genuinely interesting, because right now you have two completely different sets of briefings coming out of what is supposedly one couple. Harry's friends say one thing, other sources say another, and when a couple's teams start briefing the same media outlets from different perspectives, that's not confusion. That's a marriage where the two sides are no longer coordinating. That's each person protecting their own position. Sources close to Harry describe him as obsessed with going back to the UK. That's the actual word being used, obsessed. He wants the children to experience British culture. He wants them at Invictus. He reportedly wants them to see what he does, to understand that part of who they are. Meghan, by contrast, apparently doesn't want to spend more time away from the US. Their children, we're told, are planted in American life now. American accents, American schools. The more time passes, the harder it becomes to pull that back. How do two people with completely opposite goals about where to live and raise their children hold it together? Ask yourself that question honestly.
Well, newsflash, the people in the United Kingdom still don't like you. Like, why would you even go back to the UK? You know, the problem here, Dan, is they're not having their coming to Jesus moment about the problem being them and trying to change who they are. What are you going to do? Just pick up and leave whenever it gets, bad for you? This is not a good life for your children. You're certainly not living the kind of life that's helping you, get some stability by learning something and understanding, you're the reason for all of your problems.
Now, there is one person in all of this that I keep coming back to, and that's William. Because nobody is really asking what this does to the heir. William, whose wife went through cancer treatment largely alone, while Harry was in California. William, who watched Spare published, who watched the Netflix documentary, who watched years of carefully timed leaks and briefings that embarrassed the institution he is going to lead. The relationship, by all reporting, remains broken. And now, from William's perspective, his father is moving pieces around the board in a way that will outlast Charles's reign and land in William's lap. That's not anti-monarchy to point out. That is the actual succession problem sitting underneath this feel-good reconciliation story. Because here's what we're establishing as precedent. You can write the book, you can do the documentary, you can drag your family through years of public humiliation and then lose every court case you brought against them. And the consequence is a room in the palace and a pathway back to relevance. That is what this says to every person watching. The line in the sand keeps moving, and someone will have to redraw it eventually.
He feels that he can travel in and out as much as he wants to live this sort of part-time life where he can spend as much time away from Meghan as humanly possible.
Charles won't, so that falls to William. And when it does, it is going to be messy. 3 things to watch going forward. First, September. Whether Harry stays at Buckingham Palace during the Invictus visit, that has reportedly been offered. Whether it actually happens will tell you a great deal about how much internal resistance is left. Second, whether the children appear publicly in the UK for the first time. That's apparently the plan for 2027 at the latest. Sources describe all 4 of them, public-facing at Invictus events, but watch for breadcrumbs before then. Third, Meghan's Instagram. Specifically what she doesn't post. If the no briefings condition holds for September, that tells you she's playing a very long game indeed. If it breaks, we're back to square one. Here's the bottom line. Harry didn't reverse Megxit. Nobody hands power back to someone who just had 0 leverage. What actually happened is that a door was opened quietly on specific terms by people who want Harry back for their own reasons. And Harry walked through it because there was nothing else left to walk towards.
So the situation is now that Harry earns money from sustainable travel company Travelist. I have no clue why. I don't know who uses that. And business coaching firm Better Up, which he hasn't done anything with for a long, long time, and is trying to make money from the Archwell production company, which is not going well. While Meghan has her lifestyle company as ever, lowercase e, please. That's what she does, and gets commission from plugging outfits she has worn on an e-commerce platform, but she only gets money if she's seen, and she hasn't been seen because she didn't get to do her UK tour, which I'm sure really hit her where it hurt.
The Hollywood dream is over, the deals are gone, the court case has failed, and so he took the only option on the table. That's not a comeback. That's a controlled re-entry that someone else is managing. Harry is the prop, not the protagonist. And whether he's figured that out yet, I genuinely don't know. But I'll tell you this much. The veil lifting on a marriage, on a business empire, and on a 6-year experiment in royal independence, all at the same time. That's not a coincidence. That's a reckoning arriving on schedule. And it's going to be a long watch from here. Tell me what you think is really going on. Who's actually in the driver's seat right now? Harry, Charles, or the palace machinery quietly rearranging everything around both of them? Drop it in the comments, and if you're new here, subscribe, because this story has a very long way left to run.